Hi, I'm Barbara McRae, and this is Littleton Common. Hope you've all recovered from the December ice storm. We still have trees that will have to go, much to my regret, but they could be hazardous to our house if they stay. Especially if there is another huge storm. It isn't spring yet, folks, so you never know. It's New England. What can I say? And please stay tuned, because later in the show we will be talking with Ann Loree, the chairman for the Littleton Medical Reserve Corps, and she'll have information on what to do during an emergency. Meantime, here is some emergency information that you might want to know about. For power outages, call the Littleton Light Department at 486-3778. For trees in the road, call the Littleton Highway Department, also at 486-3778. For emergencies dealing with flooding, water, oxygen needs, or rides to the nearest shelter, call the Littleton Fire Department at 952-2302 or the Police Department at 952-2300. We will have more about this later in the show, so stay with us. I want to thank all who sent us your stories about the ice storm and how it affected you. We have them in a folder, and we have plans to present them in the near future. If you haven't sent us your story, please do. We will be happy to have it. Hopefully, we won't have any new ones from any new storms the next few months. But like I said, this is New England. One thing we hope you have is the File of Life holder. Every second counts during an emergency, and this holder has a built-in magnet, so it can be placed on your refrigerator. All of your medical information should be in there, along with insurance information, emergency numbers, and anything else you feel will be of help to the people who are there to save your life. The File of Life holder is available at the Council on Aging office, and it's free, so come in and get one. We need volunteers, so what else is new? But if you have even just a little bit of time that you can spare or share, the Council on Aging needs drivers for Meals on Wheels. I've heard so many people say, I will volunteer for Meals on Wheels when I am retired. That's a good thought. So if you're retired, or even if you're not retired and you can help, please come in and sign up with the COA office. We have many homebound seniors and disabled who need these lunches and look forward to getting them. And seeing a friendly face is really a good thing. So bring your smile and their lunch, because you'll be glad that you did. Now call 952-2362. Help us. You may need this someday, or maybe not. And hopefully, while you're driving these meals around, you will still have a current driver's license, because the Registry of Motor Vehicles is not going to send out notices to remind you any longer. You will have to check the date on your license, and that'll be all by yourself, not by them, by you. So maybe you can put a sticker on your calendar or your license to remind you. Too bad some of you never knew Vinnie Cooper. He was a fixture in this town. Vinnie had a farm stand on Great Road, and how many years ago I can't remember. You might have seen the stuffed animals all over the property, snakes in the trees and teddy bears and all kinds of animals. He had quite a history and was such a nice man. Well, Vincent Cooper is gone, but he lives on through all of the funds he is still spreading to help the community. We here at the Council on Aging recently were gifted with some of those funds, and we intend to use that money for fuel assistance. Tina Mader, our outreach coordinator, will have the information you will need to be considered. So please call her at 486-0183. Come in and see Tina if you are living alone. The Living Alone support group is growing, and I think they are enjoying the time together and listening to speakers that Tina has brought to these meetings. This month, the meeting will be on Thursday, February 19th at 10:30 in the morning. So call Tina at 486-0183 and tell her you're coming. If you have any tub chairs you can donate, this item is requested a lot, and there are none to loan at this time. Again, please call Tina if you have any. There will be a podiatry clinic on Tuesday, February 10th at the COA, and that's at 8:30 in the morning. The cost for this is $25, but you must call for an appointment. And the number is, of course, 952-2362. The Senior Diner on Shattuck Street is the place for you to have your blood pressure checked, and that will be February 10th, 11 in the morning until noon. Pine Tree Park and Mill Pond are the next places on February 26th. Right now, let's hear from Gail Dalton and news from the diner. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Barbara. For the month of February in the Senior Littleton Diner, we're going to have the birthday breakfast, excuse me, we don't do that. We do birthday lunch. Birthday lunch will be February 11th, so make sure everyone calls so I can put your name down, so we have a cake and everything. Minuteman pays for the lunch for anybody whose birthday it is for the month of February, and the Council on Aging provides a beautiful birthday cake. The ladies' breakfast will be February 12th. The men's breakfast will be February 18th. We'll be closed on the 16th, and Minuteman Senior Services are having a Valentine's special lunch on February 12th, and it's the salmon boat with lemon sauce, rice pilaf, broccoli, and cherry jello in whipped topping. Maybe we can find something else for dessert that day. It'll be a little bit more appetizing. But I want everyone to come. It'll be really fun, so everybody come on down.
Two very important free programs we offer here at the Council are the Tax Assistant and Shine programs. Tony Jasinski is our very competent tax man who will help the elderly with low income to prepare their federal and state forms. In fact, there's a little bit in the newsletter that's telling you all about it, and I hope that you got your newsletter and you will read that particular column. Bob Selling, our Shine officer, has been helping our seniors with confidential health care information for many years. Both men are very qualified, and we are so happy to have them here with us. If you are in need of either of these programs, please call 952-2362 and make an appointment. You have to have an appointment. So make sure you call that number, and they will be so happy to help you. We always give you the list of activities going on here at the Council on Aging, and many of you are finally coming in to use our facilities. Now maybe this is not the Council on Aging dream facility, but it is a very nice place to go and meet, be active, and have a decent lunch at a great price. $2. That's great. We want you to come out and be a part of what goes on here. Volunteer, join a club, start a new one. Just don't sit at home, and especially alone. Anyway, adding to the activities, there will be senior bowling on Monday through Thursdays, 9 to 5, and Fridays from 9 to 2 at the Acton Bowlodrome. 2 games and shoes cost $6. 1 game and shoes costs $4. And that's a good exercise and a good social time. You should also get out and go to the Indian Hill Music Center. Evan Thea tells us what's happening there. Hi, Evan Thea.
Thanks, Barbara. And it's another month and another great lineup of concerts and activities for all ages here at Indian Hill. And things start right off on February 6th, a Friday evening, our popular family Pajama Jam, which is a musical story hour for young families. And again, that's February 6th from 6:30 to 7:30, and that's a free event. And coming up on Saturday, February 7th, we have our Indian Hill Chamber Players that will be performing chamber music for strings, woodwinds, and piano by favorites like Beethoven, Mozart, and Haydn. And again, that's February 7th at 7 right here at Indian Hill, 36 King Street. And for more information, it's 486-9524 or indianhillmusic.org. Tickets for the chamber players are $20 for adults and $15 for students, by the way. And our box lunch concert for February will be a jazz afternoon with Jamie Dunphy guitar, Justin Meyer on bass, and Paul Combs on sax. They're a favorite group that has performed here many times, and that's Thursday, February 19 at noon. And bring your lunch and enjoy a wonderful free concert by members of our faculty and their friends. Our teen open mic called Jammin' on the Hill returns on Friday, February 27 at 7 p.m. And we invite local bands and soloists to come and perform that evening, and there's a $5 cover charge for that. And get more information at 486-9524 or the website. Chamber music again on Saturday, February 28th at 8 p.m. over at the Kaleidoscope Gallery in Groton, where we'll be presenting BSO violinist Halden Martinson and pianist Sally Pincus. And they've got an interesting program of music by Schoenberg, Schumann, Bartók, and more. And again, that's February 28th at 8. Tickets are $25 for adults and $15 for students. And if you're interested in taking piano lessons or any instrument you can think of, just come on down and join up at our spring term here at Indian Hill Music School. Sign-ups are going on now for programs that begin all through the month of February. Private lessons, classes, ensembles, we've got it all here. And give us a call or check online at indianhillmusic.org for more information. And that's the news from Indian Hill.
Thank you. This month, the Book of the Month Club is reading O Come Ye Back to Ireland, our first year in County Clare by Neil Williams and Christine Breen. If you'd like to compare notes on this book, come into the library on the second Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and meet the members of this book club. The Littleton Senior Citizens Club will meet again on March 16th at 1:30 p.m. It's a great group, and it's getting larger every meeting. Everyone is invited to the neighborhood supper. If you haven't heard about that, this is really a neat thing to do. And it's held every Tuesday night at the Congregational Church. There's no charge for this dinner, and I hear that it's really very good, so bring a friend or bring two. The Concord Players are inviting all seniors to a free dress rehearsal of Cabaret. Did you see the movie? It was such a fun show. Great songs and beautiful dance numbers. So go there February 12th at 8 p.m., 51 Walden Street in Concord. And again, go with a friend or many friends, but go. Now, I want to tell you that the police department, actually the Littleton Police Association, is now making calls because they're looking for donations. It's that time of year. And I'm going to read here that the Littleton Police Association is sponsoring the 6th annual 2009 Comedy Show Fund Drive. The event will benefit the Littleton Youth Sports Association, Spalding Rehab Hospital, Littleton School Scholarships, and the Littleton Council on Aging. Well, that's really great. So if you get a call, maybe you could make a donation, no matter how big or how small. But consider it anyway. Lynn Lyford, is there any news from the New England Forestry Foundation?
Thank you, Barbara. NEF was founded back in 1944 by a group of gentlemen who were concerned about maintaining working woodlands and helping landowners manage their forests. As NEF evolved, our work has broadened, and it now focuses on three things: forest land conservation, the stewardship of forests, and forest education. There are two recent developments that have taken place that add momentum to our cause, if I might say. One is that the Massachusetts legislature passed a law, and it was just signed by Governor Patrick, to examine innovative methods for funding the conservation of forests in the Commonwealth. Secondly, the New England governors convened, and they formed a Blue Ribbon Commission to look at the urgent issues facing land conservation across the region. The commission has met and will be delivering their recommendation to the New England governors next September. We applaud the efforts of the Massachusetts legislature, of Governor Patrick, and the New England governors for their focus and attention on forest lands and open space. And we offer our assistance to help these efforts in any way we can. Thank you.
The Littleton Country Gardeners enjoy using the meeting room at the Forestry Foundation and also walking in the woods and the garden. We had our annual holiday luncheon there recently. And speaking of the country gardeners, we have a garden therapy committee of 5 to 6 members who visit Pine Tree Park and Mill Pond each month and bring along a craft for the residents to create. And also they bring a delicious goodie to share. Each site has 10 to 12 ladies who meet with them, and this program has been around for 20 years. The country gardeners enjoy these visits as much as the residents. So if you live in either of these places, come on down and check it out. The next country gardener meeting will be at Neff, or Prouty, or as it's called, Prouty Woods, in February, and we will be learning how to press flowers. Guests are invited, and the meeting will start at 11 a.m. and check the Independent for the time for that meeting. The date, I should say. The thrift shop, of course. We have been gifted with a life-size mannequin, Cynthia Stone. That's what Joyce Halloran named her before she gave her to us. Cynthia is showing off our latest fashions, and if you want to see them, come into our thrift shop. Cynthia is standing in the hall facing the elevator, and of course she scared a few people the first few days, but now they expect to see what she is wearing. And we're still working on a fashion show when we can get it organized, so look for that information soon. You have to know that the COA office will be closed on Monday, February 16th, so there'll be no Meals on Wheels, and the senior diner will be closed. That's it for today. So stay with us and meet Ann Loree of the Medical Reserve Corps. Don't forget Valentine's Day. The ice storm in December made some of us realize that we need to be more aware of what to have on hand, where to go, or who we can contact during a crisis. Many of us lost power, trees, and heat. So where do I go? What should I do? What about an elder relative or neighbor? I want you to meet Ann Loree. Ann is with the Medical Reserve Corps. Never heard of it? Neither had I until our power went out and we heard people were at the high school and Shattuck Street townhouse furnishing food and blankets to a very cold Littletonian. Ann, you're the chair of the Medical Reserve Corps. How did you get involved in this?
Well, I moved to Littleton about 5 years ago, and being a public health professional, I noticed that there wasn't anything organized in terms of an agency or a group that was actually trying to work on different aspects of emergency prevention. So I approached Jim Gareffi, who is the Littleton health agent, to find out what was happening in Littleton, and he said, actually, we're looking for someone to chair the Medical Reserve Corps. And I had never heard of the Medical Reserve Corps until that point either. But that's when it started, about 2 years ago. And we started developing a group. Steve Carter, the fire chief, Jim Gareffi, and myself began working on developing a volunteer base and organizing them and training them to respond to various aspects of disasters. And we got our first chance in December.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what it takes to put that kind of group together, and so probably a lot of work.
Community development, it's always a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. And I think Jim, Steve, and I started working together to plan almost 2 years ago, and we began to have meetings, and we'd have 6 people show up and 8 people show up. This is the fall of 2007 at this point. And we did a multimedia blitz in December and January. And we did a town training on the 72-hour kit, which is a preparation kit that everyone needs to have in their home, the end of January of last year. And we've just been teaching and training and organizing and developing, and yes, it's a lot of work. Tons of admin, tons of planning, tons of just belief and determination that this can happen and it will happen, and voila, in December, it just sort of came together. It was really great.
Okay. Well, that was your first deployment, right?
Yes.
And so how did it work as far as getting volunteers, and how do you think it went?
I think it went fabulous. It went really well. Just to give you an idea of groups and how long it takes normally to get things going, we have only been together less than a year as a group, because Steve, Jim, and I have been working together for quite a while to make this happen. But as far as a consistent group that got together and meet for trainings, it was only 6 months old, 8 months old maybe. We did our badging last March, and so here it was in December, and we had people come out willing to leave their homes with their water in their basement, with their homes cold, their refrigerators and freezers, melting, and come out and serve Littleton. So it was really, really great.
That sounds wonderful. I mean, looks like they were ready for you.
They were. I only had to go through half the membership roster to get the people that we needed.
Yeah.
And if we had needed more, I could have continued down and contacted the rest.
Yeah.
So it was a great response. That was really good.
Actually, you connected with the fire department, the police department. Did you connect with the selectmen, with
Oh, yes.
Other town boards or departments?
In terms of the development of the group, or in terms of the deployment for the ice storm? Which do you mean?
The deployment for the ice storm.
Yes, everyone was involved. Everyone that is on the emergency disaster team, and the town worked together really well. In fact, in the cafeteria at the high school at 8:56 a.m. was when the selectmen determined that Littleton was in a state of emergency. So I got to see that happen.
Oh, okay.
as our volunteers were coming in to help service the residents and open up the shelter. So it was a very, very good experience. It was really the perfect deployment for a young volunteer group, because people were coming into a shelter situation that was controlled. It was small in numbers, and it wasn't a disaster where people were losing their lives or there was much harm being done. So
Right.
people were coming in looking for warmth, looking for food, and that's what they found. They found friendly faces. The residents enjoyed coming in and meeting the volunteers. The volunteers loved working with the residents. So in terms of a first deployment, you couldn't ask for anything better, I think, in terms of that.
Yeah, I heard about it. I heard, like a few days later, how people were going to the high school, and, that they felt that they were finding comfort there. And the one thing is, I wondered how they found out about it, though. I mean, we had no power for 5 days, so there was no way, unless we had a wind-up radio, which we got after the storm, got the flashlight after the storm.
Yeah.
But how did you let people know that the school was open, and also our Shattuck Diner was open?
Well, the fire department and police department knew about it. So as people would call them, which is a natural response, they would tell them. Because, of course, if you have no TV and you have no internet, then you can't really post things.
Right.
And no one was driving, so putting signs up on the road wasn't going to really help for that, for that day. But I think communication is something that can always be worked on in a disaster. It is the #1 life thread that really keeps the operation running and those you're serving together. And so that, no matter if you have been a veteran for 50 years working on disaster rescue and response, or whether you're new at it, communication is always something that can be improved.
Right, yeah, because some people came around talking about it later on, a few days later again, and we're wondering about communication and how it could be done so that everyone knew what was going on. They were talking about even bullhorns, as far as cars coming through with bullhorns saying you can go to the high school, you can go to the diner, because some felt like they didn't know what was going to happen to them in this period of time, so it's almost like, I think it would be nice if they wrote in little suggestions for communication. I mean, as far as the other stuff, you're doing your job fine, and you're doing your job fine as far as communication, but maybe there's a couple other hints that they could give you as far as getting. Someone's even suggested that if someone is in need, really in need, they can't get out of their house or something, maybe there's a flag that could go out they could have a flag that they put outside, and so if the police are roaming the neighborhoods, they would see this flag and know someone just can't get out, or needs them desperately.
Everyone has had lots of really great ideas since the storm,
Yeah.
and that's been wonderful.
Yeah.
And we have compiled a whole bunch of ideas and thoughts and methods. And one of the great things that has come out of this as well is that because we were really in the middle phases of developing all of our disaster plans when this happened. You see, so in a sense, I mean, it worked, and it worked great.
Yeah.
But our plan, and my plan, and Steve and Jim's plan is to have a known set of protocols for different disasters, and those will be laid before the townspeople.
Good.
Put in the paper, put in the mail, posted on websites so everyone knows if there is a need for a shelter, you go here and here and here. And in fact, since the ice storm, we have determined that the middle school will be the place for the shelter. So everyone can know that now.
Good.
Okay. But you can always call the fire department, always call the police department. They will be in the know. Okay?
Very good, very good. So what are your plans for the future and about your volunteers?
Well, we're still doing some training. We do our emergency dispensation site training this Thursday night. And after that training, they will be trained on shelter and emergency dispensation, which is used if there is a biological weapon or if there's a need for any kind of prophylactic dispensation of pills or a vaccine that needs to go out. So we're doing that training, and basically we're just keeping people involved. We're trying to get more volunteers, so if you're interested,
That's what I was going to ask you.
let us know. And we really want, I want the group just to feel confident, to be ready for the different disasters that could come.
Yes.
And we'll just keep on developing their skills. We're ongoing with various trainings throughout the year. We have meetings every other month. And our executive committee meets the first Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the library.
Okay, I
of
was gonna
every
ask
month.
you where.
From 7 to 8.
Okay.
That's our executive committee, and if you want to join, that would be great. And the receptionists at the library know where we're meeting. It's usually with a small conference room, one of those.
Okay.
And we are always looking to get new volunteers. And so it's really a lot of fun just to take a group, pull them together, point them in a direction, help them see that they're meeting a great need in the town. We also do public health education at different fairs, at different at locations such as the Fay Park, Littleton Days at the middle school, and Donnellan's. And we do that every other month, something like that. So we do all kinds of different things. We don't just respond to disasters. And the group is really, we're just getting wet. We're just beginning. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's good. So you are looking for volunteers, which would be nice to talk to her about sometime. But do you look for volunteers, too, that have any special trades? Do you need volunteers with any special trades?
We're always looking for doctors, nurses, managers, administration, and then just people that can hold up a sign, people that can help lift some chairs, people that can escort and greet people into a building. So we're not talking high tech. We certainly, could use more nurses and doctors, but that won't always be the case in terms of our deployments. It's not always medical. Usually there's a piece that's medical, but not always.
Yeah. Well, we didn't expect this storm. I mean, this was a surprise. We thought maybe we'd have a warm winter again, and who knows, we may have even more storms the rest of the winter, or maybe not, and maybe next year it could be even worse. So I think that this is a good core to know about and to check on every so often too. But so what are some of the things that you feel you've learned because of this emergency?
Well, as a program designer and developer,
Yeah.
you always look back and go, wow, okay, we need to do this differently, we need to do that differently. Of course, we learned that in our admin piece of it that we needed to have everyone's cell phone numbers because the landlines were all down except for those who had rotary phones still in their houses.
Yes,
and
that's right.
every disaster is different. Some disasters will knock out every communication piece possible. And that's where things such as, you said, the flags on doors or the siren at the fire station, you know, those communication pieces we're working on developing for those cases. And, you know, you really want people to go forward and learn and develop and create and become what the group needs to become to meet the objective. So we learned a lot. We learned a lot of things that we could be doing better. We learned that the group has great hearts to serve, willingness to serve. We learned that we do have enough volunteers to meet the needs. We learned a lot of really good things. We learned that people do enjoy getting out even if their own personal situation is in peril. And we learned for better or worse, just some things that need to be done smoother. Where, you know, who should go over here and do that, and just some of the infrastructure stuff that you just put together, and sometimes that's just the way it is. You just put it together and it happens, and things go really well. But overall, it went really well. And again, it was perilous for people to lose power, but in terms of a disaster, it was benign.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was benign. So we had fun with it. I had fun with it. It was just a good learning experience for us. And so we took a lot of points, and we had a debriefing session the first week in January with all our volunteers. Everyone submitted their suggestions and ways to coordinate better or ways to do this or that better. So it was good.
So you feel as though we're going to be prepared for the next emergency?
Oh yes, because we were prepared and we didn't even know it for the last one. So it will work. And I think knowing that the middle school will be the location for the next shelter is really good. That's been determined and decided both by Diane Bemis and Steve Carter.
Okay.
And Jim Gareffi. So that's set in place.
Yeah.
And now we just need to wait for the next disaster. But
Okay. Well, I think you probably did a good job because, like I said, we did hear about things after the fact, and people were talking about that they could go here and go. The only thing that they did mention was why they couldn't stay in Littleton overnight in the school and not have to go to Harvard because someone said, you know, they had to drive around looking to see where they could stay overnight. They didn't want to stay in their house and they felt like they wanted to stay in Littleton, you know, and so I don't know.
Well, there were problems with the structure.
Okay.
And that's something that, again, you find out as you run something through the first time.
Yeah.
That there were several really important reasons why they couldn't stay at the high school.
Okay.
And those issues have been dealt with, but still it's better to go to the middle school. So next time we do have overnight capabilities.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't a problem in terms of manpower, it was a problem in terms of there was a gas leak in the kitchen.
Oh.
And that's not safe.
No.
And there was a heat issue. So those types of things make it much better that if there's a township right next that has a great shelter and we only had 2 people to send to them, it wasn't that big of an issue. I'm sure people felt that they wanted to stay in Littleton. However, it would have been safer and better for them health-wise.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it.
But that's all been resolved, and you just learn things doing things the first time that you don't necessarily expect, and that's common for every type of community development, program development, design and development of response. You learn the kinks. You learn them all going through it the first time.
Yeah.
And you can't be afraid of that. And you can't worry or wonder, you know, oh gee, what if? Because the bottom line is, did people's needs get met? Absolutely.
Okay.
They got food, they got warmth, they found a place to stay. It worked. We even put people at Littleton Inn. The proprietors very generously offered a room to a couple that was in need. And that was great. Donnellans opened up their doors and gave us what we needed to feed people. the response was incredible.
Oh.
And all around it was incredible. It was
Yeah.
incredible from the fire department's response. They were dealing with the trees and the houses that were being flooded and the power line, and the Littleton Electric and Light Department.
Yeah.
What a great response.
I heard that.
To something that could have dragged on for weeks and weeks and just didn't, because everyone was doing their job.
Yep.
And they did an excellent job.
Yeah.
So I think the town gets an A+, and I think that we just have anywhere to go but up.
Well, I feel like they did a good job, even though we were without power for 5 days, and that was the fault of the tree that fell on the wire that connected to our house. And everyone around us was getting their electricity, and we had to wait because we had to have an electrician, and then we had to have cable, and then we had to have the town come in and connect us again. But I have to say that I didn't consider it a horrible experience, and I didn't
good.
feel that anybody was neglecting us. We understood that there were other things to take care of, and they were going to get to us sooner or later, and we had good neighbors.
Sure.
Very good neighbors, and that always happens during these things too. You find that you have good neighbors, and that's important and part of the plan, I think. But as residents of the Littleton community, is there anything else that we can do to prepare or help or, be more prepared, I should say, too?
Sure, and I think preparedness is an ongoing development cycle. It's something that you always have to work on as a person who's developing this system. That's what I think about. And the first thing I can think of is that if every house in Littleton had a 72-hour kit, which is basically what you need to get through the first 72 hours of a disaster, because that's the approximate time it would take if we had a regional, massive regional disaster. That's how long it would take for people to get to you. Have the medicine, have the water, have the food,
Right.
have your pet's needs, have all of your personal documents that are important photocopied, have a set of clothing, have clothes and shoes that are, seasonally appropriate. Have flashlight, have a wrench to turn off that gas, because if this had been an earthquake rather than an ice storm, the parameters would have been totally different on what the response needed to be. So this isn't as easy as it looks, this whole disaster response thing. It looks like, oh yeah, just open this up and do that. None of that. It looked easy this time, and it didn't look so easy, but it looks easy when everyone has done their basic job. It runs smooth as ice when you've got all the kinks out.
Right.
And we're not there yet, but it looked, like, oh yeah, pretty easy to pull this together.
Yeah.
And it took a couple years to get it going, actually.
Wow.
So people can get their 72-hour kit together, put it in a bin, have it, if they need to evacuate, if there's a tornado, you got to evacuate. So you get it in a bin, a waterproof bin.
Right.
And you can put it in your car and get out, or you can have it in your basement, and you have it if you need to shelter in place, which is most of the situations for us. Nor'easters, storms.
Right.
That kind of a thing.
Well, I did see this emergency checklist online, and thought that, maybe people could look for, that you and I could talk about the checklist. Maybe even another time we could have the whole thing so that you can tell people, you gave us a good list right there. And also, I heard someone say that they put their things in a basket and keep it near the door or something. But I felt that a basket might not be the best thing. I would say a waterproof container. And if you keep it in the basement, don't keep it in a basket. Especially if you have any food in there. And that you should change your batteries once in a while, take them out, or keep them aside. But like if you keep that thing for a year, put new batteries into your container too, so that they are always fresh. And of course the medicine and everything. But I feel this is very important, and I think that it would be good for us to go through the list sometime. Maybe bring a kit and show us how to keep it and what should be in it. I forgot about medication. You think about that when you go on a trip, but are you thinking about it if you're stuck? You need that medication ready.
That's right.
Although, when do you put medication into this kit? Because some of it would
Well,
not
you'd have
be
to
good?
change it. Certain things you'd have to change out. You know, crackers don't last 5 years.
Right, right.
Right, medicine's not going to last 5 years. And what I do is just as the seasons change, because I have to go down and change my clothes out of my kit, I check my meds, make sure they're the right strength, make sure it's haven't expired. I change that out, and I change my batteries out.
See?
So you just do it, you know, as the seasons change, and it takes like 10 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
Just remember to do it. But I think, too, the checklist that we're going to go through is on the website of the Board of Health.
Okay.
And that's
Yes.
a good place to go
Good idea.
because we have our executive committee notes on that, posted on that.
Okay.
We have next up-and-coming activities, and we would like to invite everybody to come out for any of our activities, any of our meetings, and get
Great.
involved, see what piece you'd like to do. Some of our people are only involved certain parts of the year. Some people are involved every month. It
Okay.
just depends on what you can do and what kind of time you have.
Okay.
But that's a good thing for people to begin with. But definitely prepare your family and take care of your neighbors. That's the right thing to do.
And I believe that they should call the Board of Health if they have any questions about that. Okay, and the number there is 978-952-2313. So they can call there and find out what's going on and check with it. That's good. This way you'll know that there is some place to call to find out what's going on with this Medical Reserve Corps. And I think you ought to keep watching for it too. So maybe you should consider becoming a volunteer. Let's not get caught behind the 8 ball during any emergency. I want to thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it, and I know we're going to have more to talk about another time, and I'll look forward to that. But we hope we won't have to worry about any storms in the near future. We may, who knows, but if there is another storm, we'll look forward to seeing you and your volunteers.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Hope you'll join us next time. And don't forget to hug a senior.